Pretty
Well,
good. You outside?
I am. I couldn't find a good place in the house, and it's not terrible out here right now.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. Did you were you taking in some Rangers baseball earlier?
Uh, you know, um, I did watch some of that first game, and it got so bad I looked for other alternatives. So watched some of the Olympic gold medal basketball game, which is a little bit
Okay.
more is at least entertaining.
Hmm.
So yeah, that kind of
Well,
just
I
switching
was
around.
not I wasn't watching the Rangers game, but I saw I keep thinking, okay, this each blow that the Rangers take, okay, this is it. This is it's done. And I texted some of my Ranger college buddies that when they're taking out Evalde with the arm, they're down 3-0. It's getting close to really losing any kind of faith in something happening
Yeah, I
positive in
agree.
the future.
I think they caught lightning last year, and
Mhm.
they're not catching it this year, and they don't have timely hitting, and they're just not. They just don't have the fortune in this year that they had last year.
That's true.
So
That's true. And there's the constant. Well, what would you trade? Would you trade a decade worth of failure for one pennant? And the answer is yes. I hopefully we get back on track next year. But if that's all it was just that lightning in a bottle, we'll take it.
well,
So
at least it's one, right?
yeah,
So
at least it's one. So well, I looked at your storylines and I liked them. Um, you talked about the Kansas City three-peat, starting with the NFL. Um, how are you feeling about that? Do you feel pretty positive about that? The chances of that happening, or
I don't know. That's a great. So I guess as far as the storyline goes, there hasn't been one, right? So there And so anytime somebody's in a position to do something that's never been done, that feels like to me at least something, right? In other words, as if it were to become, closer to reality, that would be something people are talking about. And um, it feels like to me, if Mahomes doesn't get hurt, it's hard for me to see Kansas City not being one of the last four teams playing.
I agree, and I haven't made my official decisions in regards to the picks that we will discuss here in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm kind of inclined to. I'm certainly not picking Buffalo again, but I may I may shoot for the Kansas City three-peat. They they kind of dodged the bullet with Rasheed Rice. I think he's gonna be able to dodge the legal problems. And they picked up Xavier Worthy, and we saw a lot of him in Austin, and he's pretty good. So
It's going to be,
not that
it'll
not
be
that Mahomes
interesting.
needs any more weapons, but
I think that they've got a good thing going, and somehow they've managed to avoid kind of the ego contract, all the kind of issues that seem to happen when you win a championship. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that I would take Kansas City against the field. I wouldn't, but I
mhm.
think that's an interesting situation. And so that was one. I think the other one that I put down was um, on the other side, who breaks out in the NFC, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
seem to me you have three clear potentials, at least for me, in
mhm,
the Lions, the 49ers, and the Rams.
mhm.
And those are the three I think it seems to me would be at the top. And
Mhm.
I don't know, the Lions, just to say we're talking about the Lions in August as a candidate is
Mhm.
new.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre. Yeah, those are the teams. I mean, the Rams have um, they went through the 1 year where they kind of retrenched, and they McVay's kind of kept them on track. And Stafford, I wasn't sure when they made the Stafford move that that was going to be a long-term deal, but he's still there, still playing well.
He
And
is. He I don't Stafford is getting older, and that'll be an interesting thing, and
mhm,
him staying healthy. I mean,
yep, yep.
if your
You,
quarterback goes down, you're in trouble.
it's toast. I like. I don't know how you feel about other contenders. I like the possibility of Green Bay being in there again this year. They seem to their front office that they've changed. They went from Ron Wolf to Ted Thompson to Gutenkust, and they really haven't had a significant drop off over a period of years and like 30 years. I mean, they've had a couple down years, but
They
obviously
finished
the quarterback
strong.
helps with
Yeah,
that. But I like them. Of course, Philadelphia. Kind of see if their hiccup last year was a permanent thing. Um, it kind of bleeds into the Cowboys. I saw your note as far as not feeling really good about them as opposed to last year, and I'm kind of with you. Um, I, I I hesitate to I hesitate to say that they will just drop off the map because I think the way they structure things, they just never really do that. Even though there's a part of me that would like for them to just completely crash land so that you can rebuild. I can't obviously root for that, but it seems like to me there's almost too much talent to drop too far.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
They'll,
the,
it's hard to imagine games in December not mattering.
mhm.
I
And
think
it's hard to
that's
imagine, and it's hard to imagine games in January going in a positive direction either.
well, we've
So
it seems like a story on repeat, doesn't it?
it does, and you have to wonder with the contracts, at what point um, it becomes toxic inside behind closed doors. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like the rumblings sound like they are going to re-sign CD Lamb at some point, and that they're basically just sparring, and there's not any real reason to have him sign a big contract and then go out to the practice field and blow out an ACL. So that's common, but um, the Dak question is kind of something that's just going to loom over this thing. Even if he does sign something, it's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
a question.
I, I think the enthusiasm and the optimism that we had a year ago just isn't there for either one of us.
No, here in town, it's very low. I've seen some um, shots of some of the local media has taken shots of practice out at Oxnard, and the stands are nowhere near full. It looks more like a typical NFL team at training camp. It's just a kind of a smattering of fans and some high school bleachers, and it makes you wonder. I checked the. I'm not really interested in going to the games or paying the freight to go to the games, but out of curiosity, I checked StubHub and SeatGeek on the secondary market, and the prices are still through the roof. So I don't understand who's paying those prices. I tend to not want to spend money unless I'm feeling positive about things. So
Yeah, I think the last thing I'd say about the Cowboys tonight, at least, is I'm not sure about the change in defensive coordinator. I just don't know.
so so you're not feeling positive change.
I'm just not saying I'm just not sure. I'm definitely in the
Mm-hmm.
wait and see camp. I think that we had somebody who was doing a really good job, and we bring in somebody who, frankly, is old school, been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I, I can't necessarily argue with his resume, but just will he be able to connect with those players? Will they play for him?
They
I know.
definitely played for Dan Quinn. And
Yeah.
now I did have one question toward the end of the year. Um, I don't know if Marquise Bell was a rookie or a second year player, but it seemed like they were in a constant nickel or a light linebacker, and that Marquise Bell at 200 pounds dripping wet was linebacker. Now I understand a nickel package is one thing, but I wasn't expecting the complete drubbing that Packers gave us. But that was my concern going into the playoffs is we haven't stopped the run all year. And it's when you get ahead 20 to 21 to 3 at halftime, you're not having to stack the box and stop the run. But when you get against better teams,
Yeah.
as we saw with like
The
49ers
Packers.
and then with Green Bay in the playoffs, you know they're going to run the ball, and I certainly hope that we've got three legitimate linebackers on running downs, or at least heavy safeties that can actually you know hit the gap and stop a running play.
Yeah. Uh, I think the Cowboys are wait and see for me. Clearly, I'm a fan and I'm wanting them to do good. But last year we were picking them to win the Super Bowl, Jeff.
I can't see anything happening in the next 3 weeks to make me do that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if
No,
you're
I'm with
open
you.
to anything
No,
changing your mind.
no.
I'm not.
Unless
So
there's
they
a
will.
Dak Prescott for a Patrick Mahomes trade, I'm not picking the Cowboys.
I'm guessing that's not going to happen. So um, there was, I guess, a couple other things that yeah, I mentioned you mentioned the Jets. Did you want to talk about the Jets? What do you think?
Well,
Or
I
you
think
use the term
just
train wreck. I want to delve into that a little bit.
yeah, I mean, just in terms of storylines, right? I mean, here you have a team in the media capital of the, certainly of the nation. You have a lot of people with microphones who are, talking about the Jets a lot, and they certainly have, you know, uh, there's no lack of drama with the Jets already, and so depending on how their fortunes rise or fall, right? And so I think it'd be really cool for the NFL if they start out really strong. But I'm gonna tell you, the schedule doesn't set up that way. And so
I haven't looked at their
if they start
schedule,
out
but
poorly, yeah, if they start out poorly and they've got some tough games early, and people are asking hard questions, this could get really interesting.
see, they start out with, let's see here, Monday Night Football. Okay, they start out with Monday night against the 49ers. Yeah, that'll be
In
tough.
San Francisco, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh Titans, then they host the Patriots, Broncos, Vikings, Bills, Steelers. Yeah,
So they
they're
could be,
yeah.
5-2. They could be five and
Hmm.
two.
Sure, sure. So yeah, and the whole Rodgers thing is just that was I don't want to say it wasn't humorous, but it was ironic. 3 plays in, he just blows out his it's just
I'm just gonna
all of a sudden
say,
just
man,
poof goes the season.
he's got something to prove,
Mhm.
and
He does.
we'll see.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's just my take on the Jets is that they seem to kind of be the soap opera story for the season ahead.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, they've got a lot of talent, and what what was missing was the uh the quarterback, and they've got that now if he stays healthy. So I noted the Steelers quarterbacks. That's kind of an interesting thing to me. Um, Russell Wilson, who is trending downward in terms of his public. Um, I don't know if ever since he left Seattle, I think Seattle wasn't really all that interested in protecting what was going on behind the curtain with him being a little bit of a diva, and and now Denver, first Denver, and then Pittsburgh, and you got Justin Fields, who's a little bit of a mystery also. So I tend to like the way the Steelers do business, and I think if they could get some good quarterback play, they could be a contender. But
Well,
that's a question.
I respect Mike Tomlin, and
Yeah,
I
very
agree
much
with
so.
you. The Steelers have it's just a good organization, but I think that they've put him in a tough spot, and it'll be interesting if the locker room unites behind one
Hmm.
guy, right? I mean, that's just an interesting dynamic of, I believe I believe there's something to chemistry in terms of
Definitely.
teams having success. And when you have a divided locker room, it's just not going to happen.
They'll need to make a they'll need to make a decision early to for the health of that team. I'm sure that's not something that's lost on Tomlin. The old adage, when you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that'll be
Unless
interesting.
he
Do you have
adopts the
a
Tom Landry running the quarterbacks in on successive
now?
downs, carrying the play in.
Now you were about 10 years old when that happened. Do you have a vivid recollection
But
of that?
I can
I
recall
only
I can
read about it.
recall the Craig Morton Roger Staubach shuttling in plays deal. Yeah. I mean,
What's
I wouldn't say that my memory is vivid, but I do remember thinking this doesn't seem like a good idea.
well, what's interesting is once I really gained sports consciousness and kind of, you know, in the later 70s, you know, looking back, I would think something like, well, how could any, I mean, no disrespect to Craig Morton, but how could anybody have started somebody over Roger Staubach? I mean, in looking back, but I'm sure at the time, he had the 4 year Navy stint, and it wasn't as clear cut as it seems to be looking back.
Yeah, I think
So
that's true. And Morton was a salvageable quarterback. Went to took the Broncos to the Super Bowl.
mhm, yeah, a very very able quarterback, and so yeah. Now on before we leave quarterbacks, do you have a rookie quarterback that you would?
Right. It's a
What
great.
do you are
That's
you
really
are there?
interesting.
Do you want to kind of give me a primer on what what
Uh,
you think is success or failure of the rookie quarterbacks this year?
I'll say I think any rookie quarterback that's starting at the end of the season and they're starting because they won the job and not because somebody got hurt. I think that's probably success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say right now, it's hard for me to imagine anybody matching Stroud's season last year. I can't imagine anybody getting to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Washington team is going to give Daniels certainly a chance just as much as the Bears are going to give their guy the chance. I don't know how many of those other rookie QBs are going to get a chance from the start.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm a big fan of Jaden Daniels from
Yep.
last couple of years, and I'm leaning toward picking them as a wild card, um, because almost a process of elimination, thinking that the the Cowboys,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that the Cowboys will not maybe not lose more than 10 games, but I don't see them winning too many more than 10 games. And and Caleb Williams, um, you know, I really like what Ron Pace has done in Chicago. He's assembled a lot of talent,
Yeah.
and they traded for Keenan Allen, and of course they drafted the Doomsday. So, um, and they've been building. So I think Caleb Williams probably is unlike a lot of situations where the first round pick kind of enters a barren wasteland. I don't think he's going to have that to say. He's going to have every opportunity to. Now, granted, it's hard for a rookie as it is, but he's going to have every opportunity in terms of having a team around him, at least offensively, to produce.
Yeah. I think the Bears' issue is that they have to play the Lions twice and the Packers twice.
That is a that that's a stronger division right now, and the Vikings are not. Um, they're not pushovers either. That's one of the stronger divisions in the league, and might even could argue it the strongest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So when Washington comes to Arlington and beats the Cowboys, we won't be surprised. Okay.
no, no. And I'll definitely, me and my college buddies have talked about this. Our emotions will definitely mine will be muted as far as
Okay. This is
I'm
being
not gonna
recorded correctly.
I'm not going I'll put it on wax. I am not gonna get sucked in. If we're 15-2 by some stretch in January, wake me if we're in the NFC Championship game. But I'm just not. I don't think I'm going to buy it before then. I really won't. I'm saying that we'll see if I can hold to it.
Well, I wouldn't
So,
be surprised if Daniels is rookie of the year.
oh yeah, he's definitely. It's one of those, and a quarterback generally gets those.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks tend to get favored for the awards, but he would definitely in play for that. And it's a wide open field. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, well, college, you had Big Ten, SEC. They're obviously kind of becoming the Big Two. We've gone from a Power Five almost to a Power Two and a half. Big Ten, SEC. How do how do
Yeah.
you handicap
This will be an
the
interesting
field in
year.
that regard?
Yeah, I think this will be a really interesting year because I don't feel like the SEC's rights over being the clear-cut dominant conference is as clear today as it has been. And I think, I think that that's going to be an argument that's going to get more, um, the volume on that's going to get turned up this year, I think.
Mhm.
And so I like that. And I think it will be so interesting when we get down to the selection of who's in the tournament. That storyline feels like to me is going to be a big one.
Mhm. It will, and it will have some of the. I haven't really tuned into the college basketball selection show. It's lost a lot of, at least to me, it's lost a little bit of the drama. But I think with only 12 teams, and the network will have some sort of
Oh gosh.
unveiling, and that will be that'll probably be worthy television. Just sit down
When
and
and when will
see
that
how that
be?
works.
That'll be like what, the middle of December, right?
Well, they've unveiled it typically. I want to say the Sunday after the uh, the conference championship Saturday. I
Okay.
want to say that's typically when that happens, and they announce the old New Year's Six, and
Yeah.
now it will be the 12 participants, and of course you'll know some of them with the conference, the ones that are
Automatic
the
bids.
conference winners that are a part of the. I guess it's the top four, top five, including the group of five, or maybe
I
it's a
think
group
the
of
top,
seven now.
yeah, that we're all going to get smarter about that.
Yes, we definitely will. Um, it seems to me the Big Ten SEC thing, and I'm sure this is, you talk about Chris, carrying the banner for the SEC, having lived down there a lot. And I certainly think have a lot of respect for the SEC, but it'll be interesting to see if that changes with the vacuum that's left by Saban. And maybe there won't be a vacuum. I mean, the Washington coach, I don't have any issue with him, but Saban has been such a force and left such a mark. It's hard to believe that regardless of who replaced him, there's not a vacuum. Um, all of those teams, you can't. No one can tell. I just couldn't believe that the SEC was at the same level when he began his tour, what, in 2000 with LSU, and then after a couple of years in the NFL to Alabama. That's 20 some odd years where he was a force in that conference, and all the other teams had to adjust to keep up with him. I I think that that's something to watch to see if it, or if we look back in 5 years and say, well, he had more impact than we ever really realized.
I think that's a really, I think you're right. And I think it is going to be a year with that everybody's trying to kind of figure out who are we watching, who are we following, whose voice matters. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be that kind of year.
Yeah, yeah. And then Texas and OU joined the mix this year. It, based on last year, it seems like Texas is a little bit ahead of OU in terms of being able to compete, but of course that could change. Um, you never know. Texas lost a lot of people, so I don't know. That will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Here's one thing I believe. So when Texas played in the Southwest Conference, when Texas played in the Big 12 Conference, every Saturday they got their opponent's very best. The game was circled on the calendar, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't
Yep.
changing.
No, no.
Everybody wants to
That's
beat Texas.
sure, sure. And it will be very interesting. Um, I'm excited, and of course we're going to get new what SEC is moving to
They're not
Fox.
going to
Is
be
that
on
right?
CBS. They're not going to be on CBS, right
Right.
there.
Okay.
ABC, ESPN, right?
Okay. I think that's right. I think that's right.
And Big
And then
Ten is
Big
Fox,
Ten
aren't
went to
they?
CBS. Oh, wait a minute. What did CBS pick up? I thought CBS picked up
Did they did they get the
the
Big
Big
Ten?
Ten. I think they got the Big Ten game of the week or whatever.
Are they
That
sharing it with Fox? I don't know.
I think so. That well, that takes some sorting out. I mean, I read a lot of reports, news articles about the contracts and everything, and
Well,
it's hard to follow.
it's going to be interesting, that those teams on the West Coast who kind of, were unlucky based on time zone.
Mm-hmm.
How does that look now that they're in the Big Ten? So uh, that the scheduling and who's on which channel, and so it is kind of like a big reset, isn't it?
It really is. There's one Twitter guy that he he claims to be connected, and some of his statements have kind of come true so far. So he's talking to somebody, and his big thing right now is that the Big 12 is in the next year or so could be the Big 20 or the Big 24, and it's based on Florida State and Clemson. Once their lawsuit with the ACC gets ironed out, it will simply be a matter of if they can meet Florida State and Clemson's price for, they're going to take, maybe a little bit more share than the other, and then picking up four other people, including the leftover from the Pac 2, who apparently, from what this guy says, ESPN is motivated to have the Big 12 pick them up. And so they're trying to money with them to all the
Man,
money as far as whether it's payouts,
hey,
it's
you got
crazy.
well, you got time slots to fill, man. And Washington State playing, playing Kansas State. That's a little bit more appealing than Boise State playing Wyoming.
There's too many football heroin addicts like you and me out there, because if there's a time slot with a Division 1 game, there's going to be 5 million consumers like you and me ready to watch it.
It's really amazing when you look at how many people are willing to watch one of those, you know, 10 p.m. kickoff games versus like uh, any MLB game. in prime time, a World Series game.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think they're out pointing a World Series game, but when you think about what you're watching and the significance and the weight of it, it's really amazing.
You got a world championship in baseball or other sports, and then you've got a group of five um, late West Coast game, and the ratings are not that. Football is just it's America's drug.
It's
So,
well, it's an easy game to watch too, and they've made it to where it's just a great watch. You know,
it is
it is really good,
great entertainment.
and it is. And you got the pace of it, where you can get up and
Mhm.
hit the fridge, and so yeah.
Somebody scores, you can go hit the bathroom, you can go get another drink and some snacks, and come on back, and yeah. So
Oh man.
it's nice. Well, did you have any thoughts about your game,
So
your sporting event?
I want you to tell your two stories because I don't have anything that I thought was just super great.
Okay, well, I had two. Now, on a previous, uh, I've had two, and they were both Monday night games. When we were living in Denver, and you may remember this game. It was a Monday night game with the Broncos. This was like Elway's third year, I want to say, playing the 49ers. And this is Monday night, and over the weekend it had snowed. And I don't know how much familiar you are with the Denver Stadium, the old Denver Stadium. The south stands were separate, and those were nothing but metal bleachers underneath your feet. And it had snowed the previous um, day, and it had heated up, but at night it got cold again. And so me and Dad are sitting with our feet in ice water with our shoes. But the significant part of the game was there was all the snow in the stands, and you may remember this. There, the Broncos won by 1 point, and um, the 49ers were kicking a field goal, and a snowball was thrown right at where they were holding the ball for one of the field goal kicks, right as it happened. And we were in the opposite end zone and saw it. And you can pull it up on YouTube and see it. And we were at that game, and it
I
was it was
don't
pretty
remember
crazy.
that, but that is crazy, and
Yeah.
that's so. I mean, there's nothing to do, right? I mean, there's
Oh no,
no
you can't.
penalty or anything, right?
No, no, there's nothing to do.
That's great.
And the second one's a little more enjoyable in that it was and you may remember this game. It was the Cowboys playing the Redskins on Monday night. It was the first game of that first championship with Aikman and Emmett, Jimmy's boys. And we had gone to the playoffs the year before, and the feeling in that stadium, it was electric because it was when they beat the Redskins in that game and beat them pretty good, more than the score would show. It was like the whole crowd was realizing, okay, this isn't a one off. This is real. I mean, we're
And you were
back.
there, and you were
I,
there.
I was there. I was in the end zone where Isaac Holt blocked a punt to start the game, and it was just
It just went
banana
off.
sandwiches. It was awesome. It was great. So now I
You
remember
know,
you
when you
telling
asked me
me
that,
about. Mhm. You
no,
told me
go
about the
ahead.
Cotton Bowl on one of our calls where
Oh my
Texas just
gosh,
got drilled by Miami. And
that
I
was
remember you
such a
telling me about
miserable
that.
day. Yeah, I woke up sick.
Oh
We
no.
were going to ride a shuttle, shuttle bus things, and I can remember sitting with my dad. We literally packed like a barf bag for me. I mean, that's how bad my day
Oh,
started. And
oh
it did
no.
not get, I didn't get sick anymore, but the day was, well, I think the score was like 55-7. It just
It was
was.
just, yeah, it was brutal. I remember
Russell,
watching the
Maryland.
game on
You just
TV.
kept hearing tackle by Russell,
Well, and,
Maryland,
and that's
right?
when we drafted Russell Maryland first. There were some people around me at work said, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's the guy that spent all day in Texas's backfield." I love the pick. He was just
Yeah. He was that
Yeah,
guy.
and
I was going to
yeah,
say, you know, none of the things that popped to mind would be, universally significant. I think sporting events that are the most indelibly etched in my memory are probably high school events that I had a connection to, you know,
okay.
like in
Hmm.
in high school when Abilene High had a team that went to the state basketball tournament and they beat Fort Worth Dunbar on a last second shot in Moody Coliseum, right?
Okay.
So that
Okay.
would rank up there.
Sure.
Watching my
Yeah.
daughter play in a volleyball state championship game and a basketball state championship game. Those,
Really, I did not
but
know she did that. I knew she
but
was a good player, but wow, that's awesome.
but but as far as like I tell people because they ask me about, well, when you were a sports writer, did you do anything really cool? And I could go to stuff, but one year they had the Junior Olympics in Houston, and I decided I was going to go to just stuff I would never have gone to. And I went
Hmm.
to the boxing, and they had the boxing in the Astrodome, and it was electric. And I mean, it was amateur boxing, but I'm telling you,
Uh-huh.
I've never been in any sporting event that felt like that.
Wow.
It was,
That stands to
I can't
reason.
imagine.
Boxing.
Yeah, I can't imagine a heavyweight title boxing match like back in the day, right? Or even the
I've
the Leonard and Hearns and Leonard, those. I can't imagine what that was like.
heard people talk about those events and saying that that was on their top list as far as the electricity in an arena with a boxing match like that. I've heard several people say that. I bet that was great.
Well, you can go to any ball game, and there's just a percentage of the people there, and they're not paying attention.
Not true
At a
in
boxing
boxing.
match,
At
baby,
a championship boxing
everybody's
match.
paying attention.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that was a good question, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you and your dad were at the snowball game.
Yes, that was fun. So, well, this has been good. We got maybe another 2 3 weeks, and we can do our picks and go that route. So,
I look forward to it, Jeff. I hope you have a good week, man.
hey, you do the same. I'll talk to you
All
later.
right. All right.
All right, see ya.